Back by popular demand, it's the Shivs Deck Spotlight. Alright, it's been a while since I've done one of these, so please bear with me. So today we're going to be taking a look at the new meta Smart Hunter. Okay, so ever since they nerfed Starving Buzzard, everybody's been trying to come up with that new hunter that's going to do amazing things. I've seen a lot of incarnations out there, most of which just kind of fall flat on their face. What we've been seeing that's been successful for Hunter is a more aggressive approach. The problem is, without the standard Unleash Starving Buzzard, it's a little bit harder to do because you just don't have the card draw. Now, we've seen some decks that use Loot Hoarders and whatnot to kind of do this and still make it kind of relevant. They work okay, but when I saw this deck, I took a look at it. I was like, there's no way this can work. No, this is, no. And then I tried it. Yeah, this deck works like a hot knife through butter, all right? It's able to handle pretty much everything in the meta right now from Warrior Control. This can go up against Warrior Control and can actually smash it by turn 6-7. It can go up against Handlock and just completely annihilate it thanks to Double Kill Command. It could go up against Paladins and hold its own. Priest, that's going to be a real tricky one. I've been breaking even with them, so that's pretty much RNG dependent. Shamans, crushing it. Rogue, miracle variants of Rogue, crushing, crushing, crushing. It's been carving a very nice path for me up the ladder. I started toying around with this and I was at 15. And when I stopped playing it last night, I ended up in 11. Now, I wasn't playing for a super long amount of time either. This was maybe 3-4 hours. So yeah, there were some losses, obviously, but overall, it was winning over 60% for me. Now, I'm not the greatest of players, and I'll be the first one to admit that. But I was just finding so many answers and so much available to me with this deck. So let's get started and just kind of go over what we have here. All right, so the deck runs one Hunter's Mark. Typically, we're used to seeing two because it's a cheap way of removing a big minion. This deck doesn't really give a damn if you play a big minion. There's the only thing it really cares about is if you got a taunt. And by the time you're getting taunts out, it's probably about time for it to start dropping all of its spell damage stuff it can do to you. So it doesn't really care. But just in case, it has the Hunter's Mark to get through that. Okay, Flare. Mages have grown in huge popularity, and the only class that can actually deal with them effectively is Hunter. Thus, we have two here. Not to mention, the mirror match Flare is the ultimate equalizer. All right? Many a times you'll find yourself that your opponent has a mad scientist down. You have a flare in hand. So what you'll do is you'll kill his mad scientist just so the secret gets out of his deck, gets put up, and then you flare. Now, you might think that this is a waste, but the likelihood that your opponent is going to throw a weapon up the next turn and then have that secret already in place to kind of power it up is a really huge advantage. Taking away that advantage can really help you. So I love that combination. All right, so we've got the Leper Gnome, Mr. Nimsh's favorite one-drop minion. I've been loving these guys since forever and a day. They're just so nasty. And they work really well with Mr. Undertaker. And Mr. Undertaker loves everything with Death Rattle. Ideally, what you're going to want to look for in your opening hand is an Undertaker. You'll pretty much throw everything back with the exception of the Leper Gnome for an Undertaker. Ideally, you want to go like Undertaker down to like a Leper Gnome Web Spinner. Now, this does play out your hand pretty quickly, so you got to be very, very careful about that. But you want to get this Undertaker powered up as quickly as possible, putting forth the damage. You're also going to want to use your hero power as often as you possibly can and just establish board presence and just beat. And then eventually your opponent's going to probably clear your board and then throw down some taunts to stop you from doing what you just did. But by this point, he should be low enough in life to where kill commands and other such things become a real threat to his survivability. All right, Web Spinner, just because it's an awesome Death Rattle minion, and it gives you a beast. Some of these beasts kind of suck. Angry Chicken, Captain's Parrot to be top of the list on that. Other ones are kind of make you really question why, like a Starving Buzzard. I've gotten a Starving Buzzard with this. Ironically enough, it played out very well for me, so I was happy about that. But other things in here, the Beast itself, great card to get. A lot of people have a really difficult time dealing with it unless they have like an instant answer in their hand. Okay, so secret-wise, this deck is running 4 total secrets. 2 freezing traps, an explosive, and a snake trap. Now, I've seen other variants of like an aggressive hunter deck that are using like multiple snake traps. This is kind of a waste to me. Alright, you're already running Mad Scientist. So that's 2 cards you're going to be pulling out of your deck, right? Which means you got these other 2 that you can play out of your hand. Now, they're 2 mana. That's not all that expensive. So I feel having 1 snake trap, because of the reasons I just listed, is a lot nicer. Plus, it allows you to actually plan out certain combinations. We're going to get to that in a little bit. Alright. Haunted Creeper. It's a beast. It's a annoying minion. Even when you kill this thing, you still have to deal with 2 1/1s, which in some ways are better than a 1/2. Not to mention Death Rattle, and Undertaker loves Death Rattle. These guys are great to drop down, to follow it up by a kill command. We see that quite often. I believe we saw it in WCA and the NA quals. So, yay for that. Okay, Knife Juggler. Now, with everything in this deck, like Snake Trap and Haunted Creepers, Knife Juggler just fits in perfectly, alright? One of the things that I love doing is if I get a Snake Trap from, say, Mad Scientist, I will put a Knife Juggler down. And in some cases, if I can, I will put 2 down. And here's why. If my opponent has any kind of board presence, he's going to trade one of those minions into the Knife Juggler, because nobody likes a Knife Juggler on the board, let alone 2. So if you've got the Snake Trap down and you got 1 or 2 Knife Jugglers down, it's a hilarity. The 3 minions get spawned and all these daggers just fly all over the board. In some cases, I've been able to kill the minion that was going to try to kill the Knife Juggler, thus completely throwing his game off. I like that. Alright, and a great follow-up play afterwards is going to be Cult Master, but we're going to get to that in a little bit. Alright, so we got the Mad Scientist, just because it's a Death Rattle and it pulls secrets. We're a hunter, we use secrets. Cool. Eaglehorn Bow. This is going to be one of your main to-the-face damage dealers. Thanks to Mad Scientist and the fact that our secrets are dirt cheap, you're going to always get value out of this. So keep that in mind. Now, most of the time, you're going to want to take this to his face. There are times where you're going to have to use it to, say, clear a taunt, so the rest of your stuff can get through. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. Alright, Animal Companion. We've got a lot of low drop beasts in this deck. So Animal Companion's Leok works really well for this. So does Misha for taunt ability. Kind of stops them from trading tempo-wise. And of course Huffer, just to, you know, keep pushing the damage. Every minion out of Animal Companion actually has relevancy in this deck, and that's extremely important. There is no dead animal you can get out of there. Alright, Kill Command. We've got a bunch of beasts. Web Spinners. We've got snakes from the Snake Trap. We've got puppies from Unleash the Hounds. We've got Animal Companion. That right there is almost always going to guarantee that Kill Command is going to get its max value. And you're going to want to hold on to these till like the end game. You never want to use this on a minion unless you absolutely have to. Alright? That's very important, especially against classes like Handlock. You really want to hold on to these. Alright, Unleash the Hounds. This has traditionally been used for card draw, and in this deck it still can be used for card draw to great success. A lot of people kind of thought, oh, well, hunters can't do the whole little on turn 5, so I can build up more of a board presence. This is a bad line of thinking even still. True, we can't do it on 5, but we could do something on 7 that's just as disgusting, and that is what we're going to come up to here next, and that's Mr. Cult Master. But before we get to this, I've done a lot of things with Unleash the Hounds in this deck. Unleash the Hounds plus Knife Juggler has been really great for clearing the board. Unleash the Hounds just to be able to proc for a kill command has saved me many a times. I've used Unleash the Hounds as a finisher when I had the bow with 1 charge left on it, plus hero power, and there were 4 minions on there. So yeah, it's really a multifunctional card. So don't ever underestimate it, but don't play it stupidly either, people. Using an Unleash the Hounds for just 1 draw, or I mean like 1 hound on the board, never really a good idea. It really isn't. All right. So Cult Master, when they made the announcement for Starving Buzzer being changed, I laughed. And I laughed so hard. And I even made a tweet about this to Ben Rhodes, like, hey, congratulations, you just made Cult Master more viable in a Hunter deck. Well, this deck actually apparently, well, the person who came up with this apparently thought the same lines or saw that same tweet. I don't know. But either way, it's good to see the same line of thinking here. So we got a lot of stuff with Death Rattle, so trading it to get a benefit is going to be optimal. We also have Unleash the Hounds, which means we can get a great amount of card draw with this. Not to mention the Snake Trap Snakes means we're going to have a lot of disposable minions that we can use to get card draw. And in all honesty, I've gotten great amount of card draw out of this guy. And have been able to wipe boards, just put forth damage. He's pretty much a one-and-done minion, though. Once he comes out and he uses effect, that's all he's going to survive, because they will do everything they possibly can to get rid of it. All right? So if you're trying to get him to last more than a turn, it's going to be very hard unless, you know, you've got a taunt to protect him. And even then, a single 1-drop mana spell will kill him without much effort. All right, and rounding off the deck is Mr. Loatheb. I had a hard time justifying why Loatheb was in this deck, and then I realized it's kind of like a condom. You'd rather have it than not have it in emergency. If you're a guy, you understand this. If you're a woman, you definitely understand this. So Loatheb is in here for the oh shit just in case factor, because there's many times where your opponent could use a series of spells to kind of change the board, right? Most notably Shadow Flame. That's a big one that can really screw you. So Loatheb can prevent that and allow you one more turn of your minions being able to affect the board, affect your opponent's life, before you have to fully depend on kill command. And that one extra turn can make or break a game. And that's really, really important. All right, so let's talk about Mulligan. So pretty much against everything, you're going to want Undertaker. Absolutely. I don't care if you've got like a bunch of other stuff with the exception of Leper Gnome. You're going to want to throw it all back to get Undertaker. The only exception I make to this is against Hunters, you'll want a Flare. Because if you can't deal with his secrets right away, then you're going to suffer for it. Your stuff's going to come back to your hand, going to cost more. You're going to lose tempo. You're going to just power his weapon. You don't want that. So you're going to want the Flare. You're going to want to deny him his ability of using secrets. Really, really important. But pretty much everything else, Leper Gnome and Undertakers are the primary ones you want in your opening hands. Ideally, opening play is going to be an Undertaker turn 2, Web Spinner, Leper Gnome. That way you're hitting him for 3 damage. Mad Scientist is also probably the better turn 2 play after you've played Undertaker. It's a lot safer, and it opens up avenues for you. Now, other hunters know this as well, so you got to be very careful. They'll try to do the same thing that you're doing, and in that case, you trade. You kill the Mad Scientist, and then you flare to take away their secret. This is hugely important. You have to be able to do that. If you don't have the flare, don't trade the Mad Scientist. Force them to trade to you. Just go straight to the face. All right? Get that damage in while you can. All right. So that's the basic Mulligan strategy. It's highly aggressive. And you're going to always want to play that way. Kind of think like Cancer Rogue or Backspace Cancer Rogue. And go that route with it. And you'll do fine. Now, you're going to get to some interesting choices here when it comes to 3-drop. Do I play the Eagle Horn or do I play the Animal Companion? All right, this is really simple. If you got a secret up, you play the Eagle Horn. It goes without saying. Any other time, I say go with the Animal Companion. And the reason for that is having another minion on the board is probably a lot better than having a weapon. Because weapons, you're too tempted to trade, your life for theirs. No, you want to use the weapon on them, not on trading against their minions. So I would say Animal Companion definitely in that aspect. Not to mention, there's not a useless minion from Animal Companion in this deck. So keep that in mind. All right, so we're going to talk about some card combo synergies here. Obviously, Secrets plus Eaglehorn Bow. This is like the oldest synergy hunters know. We've been exploiting it since day one. All right, other synergies. Snake Trap plus Knife Juggler. This is so disgusting. Much in the same way that the Starving Buzzard Snake Trap was kind of a problem. This is just as worse. But again, this is really simple to counter, like an Arcane Shot, Smite, whatever. Can completely deny this. All right. Unleash the Hounds plus Cult Master. This is a really great one to do. Instant card draw. Now, don't be in a rush to just, trade away your dogs. Do it one at a time. See what your draw is. That is highly important because you might pull a Hunter's Mark. That might make your life easier. And remove that one minion who is going to cause you the greatest amount of problems, that taunt, whatever. This will allow you to take the rest of your dogs to his face. And that could lead to a victory. So always take your time using the dogs if you've got Cult Master up. Okay, obviously the other synergy here is Kill Commands plus Web Spinner. I can't say enough good things about this. Not to mention Kill Command plus Unleash the Hounds. I've done this a couple times here to where there was a full board, right? I went Unleash the Hounds. Boom, I had 7. And he had no taunt. So I took the 7 straight to his face. Boom. And then I followed it up with double Kill Command. That's 20... Wait, no. That is 17 damage right there. 17 damage. That's pretty good for 9 mana. So there are times where you're going to be behind, and an Unleash the Hounds plus Kill Command will actually turn those tables around to a victory. Always look for lethal in every step, especially around turn 5, 6, 7, and 8. These are like the prime 4 lethal turns for this deck. If you've been playing it aggressively, constantly getting a minion out there and forcing them to trade into your minions while constantly going to their face, you will be able to very easily win on 5, 6, 7, or 8 if done correctly. Kill Command is going to be one of those ones that really is going to be like seals the deal for you. Classes you really need to watch out for is Priest. We're going to talk about some of the matchups now. Okay, Priest. Due to the RNG nature of Priest with Thought Steal, they can actually counter a lot of what you're doing. Not to mention, it's really easy for them to get like some really nasty minions that you can't deal with. And they can just use them to trade all day long to remove your stuff. So you might lose value. You have to get the numerical count on a Priest before they can get it on you. Another thing is, when facing against a Priest, I highly recommend getting at least 1 flare, if not both, in your opening hand. I would prefer 1, because 2 makes it kind of dead. And the reason I say this is Thought Steal can grab your secrets. It can also grab your flare. So having 1 in your hand makes it less likely that they're going to get it out of your deck and ruin your plan. That's just Shiv logic there. But other than that, the deck is very solid, very aggressive. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I know a lot of people who've been struggling on the ladder, just trying to go up from 20 to 15. They've picked up this deck, and next thing you know, they're sitting at 7, 5. I guarantee you give this deck a week. If you're not up to 10, then you're not playing it right. Because this deck will easily cut through almost everything out there. Now, like I said, there are times where you're just going to get a bad hand. That's fine. That happens. All right? It's not the deck's fault. But think before you make a play. There are some really interesting combinations in here that, when done at the right times, can actually benefit you greatly. Now, you're going to ask, well, when are those right times? Well, that's what you're going to have to figure out. You're going to have to be able to examine that board state. You're going to have to look at what is there, and is this the right time to do it? And in all honesty, if you can't make that call, flip a coin. I know that sounds kind of, nonchalant, but you'd be surprised. It's actually more effective than people give it credit for. So once you understand how the deck works, and once you actually get to playing it for a bit, you'll start realizing, hey, you know what? This synergy works a little bit better when I do it like this. Just try it. You'll love it. I guarantee it. All right. I've had so much fun with this deck. I can't say enough nice things about it. And it's really nice to see Rexxar, again, kicking ass and taking names. Now, there are a lot of people who are complaining about this deck. Oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, it was going to happen. We told you already, if you keep messing around with Hunter, all you're going to get is an aggressive Hunter. Well, enjoy. Anywho, this is a Shiv saying if you like these videos, please like, subscribe, leave me comments, let me know what else you'd like to see. If there's another deck you'd like to have spotlighted, drop me a message, email, whatever. You can find me all over the place. All right? So, with that in mind, thank you very much, and bye-bye.